Hello, I'm Existential and welcome back to an episode of my Minecraft Xbox Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the Let's Play where I'm playing through the various updates that have come out for Minecraft on the Xbox, building stuff, killing stuff, and of course destroying stuff. And today I'm actually working on one of my most productive or building stuff related project yet, because I am building a huge part of the nether. I kind of wanted to do a bit of terraforming, and although the end was my first choice, I then later realized that, you know what, maybe the nether would be a good choice too. I already have a big fun project in the end, maybe it'd be fun to have a similar size project in the nether as well. So today we're going to be terraforming huge swaths of the nether, or I guess over the next while we're going to be terraforming huge swaths of the nether, and as part of that I need to place a lot of stone slabs down. This is the protection for the world from the elements, I guess. I guess the elements just means gas, but yeah, this is protection for the world, so just in case my stuff gets hit, it won't destroy the ground underneath it, it won't make it hard to replace. Instead, this stone will entirely resist the hits of the gas. So that's why we're placing a bunch of stone today, and then we'll be switching over, because stone slabs are fun, but you know what's even more fun? Placing brand new projects all together. I wanted to try something brand new I've never really tried before, so we'll be doing that a little bit later as well. I'll be done just a little bit of filling in these gaps, making them a bit more appealing. So yeah, in case you're curious as what the brand new project is, I really have wanted to make an ocean village for quite some time, or at least something like that, because I've been getting, back into Fallout 4 recently, and the whole idea of like a settler, kind of building again from scratch is something that always fascinates me. We've spoken about, the apocalypse like a billion times in this channel. That's not because it's a particularly, good subject for views or interest. It's a sort of subject that gets people like existentially terrified. Like, pro tip, fill up your bathtub or you won't have any water. Isn't the sort of thing that makes people go, yeah, I'm excited for the apocalypse. Can't wait to be drinking weak cold water from my bathtub. No, no one gets excited about the apocalypse, but it's a fun thing to discuss. And in the same way, I wanted to work on something I've been fascinated by, which is a village which is entirely, or mostly made up of like kind of scavenged supplies, or at least it looked like it should. Because yeah, I saw a really cool driftwood village concept, and I'm gonna be trying my own version of it because I couldn't find any other, reference to that on the internet. So that's what we're doing today after we place the last of these 29 slabs. Because again, the whole kind of key plan here is just to make this part of the nether, which is currently a bit weird, a bit stony, look a little bit more palatable, which is what we're kind of going for. So yeah, with that said, and the Let's Play, if you don't know, as well as talking about what we're up to, in Minecraft in the past week, I also like to get, this is kind of like my once a week opportunity to do like a little bit of a vlog, like say, hey, I went to the moon this week and it was pretty okay actually, I would prefer to stay here on Earth. But no, yeah, so today we're going to be talking about what I've been up to in the past week, because I did go to the Netherlands recently, and that's always an interesting time. I think I've actually been like 3 or 4 times now, mostly by accident. This was my first real, dedicated more than 24 hours in a row there. So yeah, I figured, why not talk about that a little bit too? And yeah, it's gonna be a fun time, I think. But first of all, I guess I should mention, the biggest thing, I don't know why this has been in my mind this whole week, but it's kind of been TV shows. Again, I was literally in the Netherlands earlier, but let me talk a little bit about TV shows. Because, again, because it's not only what I've been up to in the past week, but also, I guess, things that have been, particularly on my mind and whatnot, because again, it's a good opportunity to vlog and talk about the big things. So, yeah, basically, I've been thinking about TV shows because, Game of Thrones is literally like a week away from ending. If you haven't watched any Game of Thrones yet, now is the perfect time to get into it. You can watch all 70 episodes over the next week, 10 episodes a day. It's going to be most of your activity over the next week, but again, I personally consider it worth it, but, this is the ideal time to get into it, so you can enjoy the finale with everyone else. Although, probably last week was, but I'm not going to be too fussy about that. But yeah, basically, one of the things that I kind of think about that, because I also recently got back into watching How I Met Your Mother. If you don't know, it's a US sitcom. It's based in New York City, I want to say. And yeah, it's a good show as far as a lot of people are concerned. It's a very high rating show, and it follows a lot of the normal sitcom procedures. But it's a show that I really liked at a few different times, and I recently got back into watching it. And when I got back into watching it, I watched the season, and then I just kind of concluded, I guess I'm watching it all now. I guess I'm going all the way from here in season 5 now to the end of it. I don't know how many seasons I have left, but it's why do we feel the need to do that? It's not a show that particularly changes between episodes. Everything stays exactly the same all the time, and that's probably a good thing in some people's minds. But everything stays all the time. Why am I even so interested? And there's no real easy answer to this question. Also, in case you're curious what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take this area right here and turn it into a giant driftwood village, and hope that it makes the ocean monument below less visible in some way. Because again, there's some fun things you do with monuments. I feel like the funnest thing though is to cover them up and pretend they're not there. So let's place a bunch of wood and see how that goes. But yeah, basically, so I've been watching How I Met Your Mother. It's again, it's just like, it's not high quality TV. It's kind of like, oh yeah, you put it on and then you watch it TV. There's a lot of TV in that category, right? You know, it's the sort of thing that is being made more and more redundant, I would say, because you know, like if you want to watch a lot of something, there is a lot of YouTube that's, you know, arguably in some senses higher quality than network TV, but it's something they got back into. And then the realization that like, oh yeah, because I watched, you know, like because I started watching it, I guess I have to finish it now, is a really kind of odd one, because a lot of people have this same mindset where like, oh yeah, well, you need to finish something you start watching. You can't watch half of a, you know, a TV show and then say that that was good enough, because that implies that you didn't like it, right? There's this bizarre concept that you need to watch all of something, you need to finish all of something, or it wasn't worth doing it all. A lot of people feel this way about my Minecraft builds. I mean, look at this for example. I mean, I'm not sure what I was doing here, like training a ocean monument. I was mostly trying to get the Elder Guardian, and I succeeded, and then I kind of left it after that. Like, I've got a railway track going from here straight to the museum, because I wanted an Elder Guardian as part of a, like, rare mobs project. But it's like, oh yeah, so what is the point in leaving this half unfinished? And yeah, a lot of people feel that same way, as I can tell from the YouTube comments on all of my videos. So, yeah, it's odd to me. It kind of makes some sense that, like, we have a completionist desire in us, but it also should be like, you know, why can't you just watch, you know, all the way up to now and then decide, I'm not going to watch the finale of Game of Thrones. You know, it doesn't matter who's on the Iron Throne by the end, because, you know, it's all good with me regardless. They're all pretty good choices for candidates, you know. Even the wildcard choices. Even if it's a horse on the throne, you know what, that'd be a good choice. I'm sure he'd wise ruly. No one ever thinks that. They're like, oh, I need to know, where's Bronn gonna end up? What about, you know, like, insert, you know, like, mistress here. Like, we need to know all these different details. And, yeah, the idea of completionism is something, of course, as a, you know, someone who plays games, I'm particularly aware of, right? Like, the achievement system is literally designed with that very purpose. I've done so many things in Minecraft I would never do otherwise, other than because it's like, oh yeah, well, you got some gamer score, which, as you can see right here, wow, I used the grindstone to, actually, I would have done that anyway, but like, ring the bell of a hostile enemy in the village. So, oh, no, we gotta get to the surface before we drown. But, you know, it's the sort of thing you just wouldn't really have done otherwise. And, yeah, it's interesting how many things you can do without really intending to, and one of those things is dunk literally tens of hours into a TV show that you only kind of enjoy because you've already watched it, and, you know, like, arguably it hasn't aged very well, and it's just, it's something that I've been thinking about. So yeah, I don't know, Toy Cat has watched a new TV show. I also have been watching Happy Valley, which is a British show set in, like, somewhere in the north, and their accents irk me. It's funny, like, the accents that they apparently have in New York are more acceptable to my brain than, like, a proper northern accent, like, going up to Ashley down to Farm, and it's like, oh god, kill me now, kill me now. And that's an interesting point about how, oh, also, did you see that? Elder Guardian has apparently broken. That can't be good, right? That can't be that's gonna be a bug that happened at some point after expansion, right? Is that a good thing? Do I want that? Do I want Elder Guardians in here? I don't think I do, right? I think that's probably not admirable. I don't think it's a particularly good thing. I could put it back in the minecart, send it over to the museum maybe. I'm not sure what I want to do with that actually. We'll work that out as we go. Oh, we can't break any blocks. So as far as we're concerned, all these blocks just have to go here. Anyway, so we're gonna keep on placing these wood blocks around here because they're a similar thing that has been on my mind recently. Not quite completionism, but kind of the opposite, right? Because okay, so if you didn't complete all of something, it'd feel like it was all kind of worthless. And in the same way, sometimes I feel like it's all worthless, as in with it all being, I don't know, like life, the universe, existence, whatever it is. I haven't gone existentialist in a very long time. Like I think these YouTube videos are a good way to kind of help me not, because, you know, we talk about big subjects and I'm like, yeah, you're stupid to think that way. And then I realized, like, oh, you're stupid. It makes things all better. But yeah, recently I wanted to tell you about a train of thought I had, because it sounds so ridiculous, but in the moment it was all I believed. I was like, yep, this is just facts. This is just how it's gotta be. Because I recently was in the situation where I was thinking about smoothies. I was just there. It was the end of a long, you know, couple of days. I was like, I was on the bathroom. Oh, I was in the bathroom, and I was just thinking to myself, you know what, smoothies are such a scam, because I bought a smoothie earlier that day because I wanted to feel healthy or whatever, and then I accidentally left it outside the fridge, and I remembered that, and I was like, you know what, it really is awful that if you leave a smoothie outside the fridge, it becomes basically worthless, right? Because, you know, warm smoothie, who wants that? And then I thought, you know what, smoothies are kind of worthless as a whole anyway. Like, they're a concept that we invented so we can feel good about eating things. So, like, you know, like, they're not particularly great. They're only, like, they're feel-good stuff. Like, you know, you feel good drinking a smoothie, but it's not good for you under any sense of the word. Besides, maybe it contains some vitamins you don't find otherwise. Like, they're not good things for us, but we feel good when we consume them. It's a thing that we do. So I was thinking, like, you know, smoothies as a whole kind of are worthless. And you know, in the same way smoothies are worthless, pretty much everything in life is worthless. Therefore, I guess life is worthless and meaningless, and it's all terrible. And I just had an existential crisis of just like, what do I want? Pretty much nothing. Everything I want in this exact moment is all worthless. And then, yeah, I wanted to tell you about that train of thought because it stuck with me for like an hour. Like, it was a pretty, I would say it was a sad hour or so. You know, it's not often that you get to feel sad about the universe and then be like, actually, though, it was a pretty good time overall. No, I would not say it was a good time. I would say it was a overwhelmingly negative time. Thinking the universe is worthless and that you don't really want to be in it anymore is not a good set of thoughts. But it's something I wanted to share with you all because, one, I mean, like, hopefully you will realize how ridiculous that is, and maybe it makes you realize that, like, oh yeah, sometimes I go down ridiculous tangents, and that's kind of ridiculous. Because the one value, the only value to the concept of just, like, going through things like that to me is that at least it helps me understand what I went through, so I'm, like, better prepared for it next time. In the same way a vaccine, or, like, you know, in the same way catching a disease in general, I was hoping I could find some scutes here, but apparently not. But in the same way when you find, when you get diseased, you kind of, what's the word? Immunize? There's a word for it, but you're made immune to catching the same thing again, right? Because your body knows what it is, and it knows how to fight it off. And I was thinking, like, kind of in the same way, we're gonna have to break this block now, aren't we? Let's break block with this on. But, yeah, in the same kind of way, when, also that, I realized my little village doesn't have enough wood. That's why we have to stop doing it. It's very sad. I agree with you. If you're thinking that right now, like, Toy Cat, you're making a village. Apparently 5 stacks of wood, which was what I got from chopping down all that stuff, is just not enough. And now we have to kind of awkwardly be like, oh, well, that's not enough today. So I guess we'll call that a day on that one. But yeah, I was thinking about just how worthless smoothies made the universe. Me in that moment. And I realize now that I probably won't have that exact same thought again. I probably won't have a smoothie, leave it out, and then think the universe is worthless. Because I thought about it since then, and you know, there might be many, you know, reasons to be terrified of existence. There are many reasons to be skeptical of the value of anything. But you know, it isn't smoothies that are responsible for it all. And yeah, having realized that it was a terrible, like, hour of just worthlessness, meaninglessness. But then I realized that being broken has value as well. Ideally, you don't want to be broken. No human is ever in the situation where they're like, man, I would love to feel like everything is terrible, impending doom, this, that, the other. But maybe there is some value to it. Maybe, you know, like, in the same way that every bad human function in the modern day world, like, you know, there's so many weird social games we have to play with each other just because of the fact that, like, you know, back in the day, if we didn't spread rumors, you know, we wouldn't know about the terrible things that someone in our group has done. So, like, oh yeah, we have these weird games we play with each other that have some evolutionary purpose. They don't anymore, but we play them regardless. And maybe going through these existentialist dread moments. You know, I used to always think that, like, you know, this must be a new concept, right? For most of history, you were way too busy working out, like, how am I going to eat my next meal? And, you know, like, will someone come and kill me during my sleep? And you didn't know the answer to either of those questions. But now we know the answer to both those questions. Like, you know, like, there's a McDonald's around the corner, which better be where your next meal's at. But there's a McDonald's around the corner, and no, people probably won't kill me during my sleep. They might steal from me, but it's very rare for someone to just sneak into your house and kill you. There just isn't really an incentive system in society for that anymore. Which, you know, maybe that's the problem. Maybe we need to, you know, like, have, you know, some incentive to kill each other in our sleeps. But more seriously, Because, you know, like, isn't it funny we have sleep issues now, but, like, back in the day, like, that's when they really had cause for sleep issues. Like, oh, yeah, I don't know if I'll wake up in the morning. That's a pretty good reason not to go to sleep. Anyway, so, anyway, I was thinking, like, maybe the one value in being broken is because our brains have kind of, you know, like, I think humans have the most complex brains in terms of, we're the only animal that has vocalized, that we understand at least, that can vocalize and understand the parts of us that can vocalize and understand. You know, the human brain named itself. The struggle with human consciousness is the struggle of the human against itself. You know, my brain is literally fighting itself, getting into a debate with itself, and winning. So I guess good job on that end, you know. Like, even when existentialist dread takes you over, that means you're so good at arguing, you can convince yourself terrible things. That's a talent, I would say. But yeah, maybe in that same way, like, there's always a chance this is going to happen, and it's good that some people go through it, because otherwise the first person went through it would just die, you know. Like, maybe in the modern world, it just is required that we need to work out the answer to some big questions, and we're never going to really know the answer to these big questions, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't try and work out the answers. And that's why I sometimes think, you know, smoothies made me think the universe was worthless, but maybe that's okay. Maybe that's even, I would go a step further and say maybe it's even a good thing. So yeah, there's my down moment for the week. I've had a fair few, because one of the things that I realized, one of the things I always believe is that, like, you know, everyone's feelings are both worthless, but also the most important thing about them. A lot of people try to think objectively, but really it's their, like, feelings that they're stuck on. And sometimes you can see people's feelings more clearly than others. Like, I think, you know, some people have, like, feeling vision, right? I definitely don't think I do. I think I can only, you know, like, this is something I've always valued in, I don't know, say, a girlfriend or a friend in general. Like, someone who is able to perceive what you're feeling at a given moment, because it's really interesting that we're all feeling very different things all the time, but yet, like, vocalizing those things isn't something we do, because it's like, well, everyone should kind of know about that, right? And therefore we end up in this big spiral. Anyway, the reason I kind of brought that up is because it comes together with the same train of thought that, like, when you're in a big group of people, when you're in a group of a lot of different people, everyone has their own individual needs, thoughts, feelings, etc. And one of the things I've always been, I never even realized I focused on it, but I've always focused at least some amount on how all these people are coming together. What the unifying trend is. Like, I'm fascinated by the idea that, like, there are some situations that cause humans to unify into groups as opposed to individuals. We're all very much pro-individual until something happens that makes us feel like part of a group. Friendship is a good example. Like, when you're part of a friends group, you operate as one unit. Like, even if there's people in there you don't care about, it's very rare for a friend group to just split into two midway through an activity, you know? It just doesn't happen. You stay as one. You become one cohesive blob kind of thing. And because of that, it's like, what is it that causes people to unify? And this is something I always like to watch, absorb, and, like, kind of learn from. And I think what it is it's just like, oh yeah, a lot of people are on the same rough page. Within that, there are some people who aren't, but they feel like the moment they felt like they are on that page, they stick in there for a while. Maybe this is why people like YouTubers. Maybe this is why people like, you know, like, people as a whole, because you generally know a lot better where, you know, say, a YouTuber stands than someone in your real life. You generally, like, even, because before we had movie stars and TV celebrities, etc., but you never really knew who they were. You knew their character, and you knew they looked like their character, and that was good enough for you. And in the same way, I've wondered if, you know, because everyone has their own, you know, their own preference when it comes to picking traits in, you know, friends and also girlfriends and stuff. Maybe, or, you know, or boyfriends, depending on your, you know, whatever you do. But yeah, like, you know, obviously, like, anyway, so I know that was a tricky one to say, but it's like, you know, you got to cover a whole range of, like, the people that you are, you know, interested in. I reckon that's, like, something you make based on the mold of everyone you've met so far. I reckon if you have a really good friend who is, I don't know, like, slightly large, you'll think really good things about tubby people. I reckon if you have a douchebag friend who, you know, enjoyed too many cheeseburgers, every time you see someone who was super like that, you're gonna be like, oh man, just stop with it already. Because some people, you know, this is something I've realized. Some people are just super I guess harsh is the word, like very mean to fat people, right? Like that's what they say, right? They're like, oh yeah, this is the worst. I had an ex-girlfriend that was exactly like this, and I wonder if all of that is like, like it's impossible to sort the world into. It's impossible to properly sort the world, at least, by any major characteristics. Like, there's no easy way to be like, oh yeah, everyone. There's no easy way to look at a person and know they're good or bad. So instead, we kind of make up our own logic on whether they're good or bad, based on really very little besides, this looks like someone else and that used to be bad. And yeah, the reason that I'm thinking about that is because maybe, just maybe, that's what causes people to unify. Like, this is like someone else that was similar to me. All these people are now going to be the same. Because no two people are the same. No two people have the same crisis. But if you've ever had a crisis about how bad smoothies are, then isn't it interesting that I have it well? And if you've ever had a crisis just in general of like existentialist, it was something that hit me a lot when I was in my teenage years. Also, what did I do wrong here? I guess I meant to play something like this. But in case you've ever had an existentialist crisis of your own, in case you ever wondered, what is the point of anything anyway? Why wake up? Why do anything? I wanted to share that, like, it's a thing that I haven't felt in a very long time on any real level. But I think a lot in this past week, it's been hitting me more and more and more. And I wanted to share it because that's what the internet is for, right? Oversharing and telling people some things. And I'm not sure if it's even necessarily a good or a bad thing. Like, I think worrying about the meaning of existence is probably good because it means that you care about existence. It's just one of the things that I used to do really stupidly as a teenager is then conclude like, well, if I don't know the meaning of existence anyway, why even bother with it? Why am I not dead right now already? And I think that was a not dangerous, but like silly kind of additional place to take it. So it's something I want to just point out right now that, like, it's good. The reason, there's a lot of people who do terrible things on a regular basis. There are a lot of people who would dread the world, which is arguably a terrible thing. But like, there's a lot of people who are fearful of everything, but they're just too busy all the time. And being too busy to worry about something isn't necessarily a problem. Arguably, maybe my key solution is to drink less smoothies. Maybe my key solution is to make more videos. And as a subscriber to this channel, maybe that's what you want me to conclude. Maybe that's what I should conclude objectively. And yeah, this is one of the first like kind of big Let's Plays where I kind of just open-ending it on like, this past week I felt very strange. And I wanted to share some of the thoughts on why, how, what, when, and where with all of you. Maybe you enjoyed hearing those thoughts. Maybe you didn't. But, as always, the cool thing about this channel is that it's just, or the cool thing about the Let's Play is it's just an open opportunity for me to say, hey, I am in a weird place right now, and I hope that if you notice content's a bit weird, you'll let me know, but maybe you'll understand. So yeah, that was the vaguest and most confusing set of messages. Oh, also I went to the Netherlands this week. It was very nice. I really like, they have a chain called Fibo, where you can get like vending machine fast food, and it's not that good. It gets worse every time I go there. Like, I guess I'm less hungry and my expectations are higher. Like, there's very little that's actually good you can get, but I love the concept, and sometimes loving the concept of something is more important than loving the thing itself. And maybe that's why sometimes you love things more than you ever think you would. And maybe that's why sometimes you follow people, you like people more than you ever thought you would too. Or maybe Toycat's going insane, bit by bit. And this is the video diary where you get to see it. I'm not sure for sure, but I am sure for sure that I want to build a driftwood village, and that next week we'll totally get right back to that. Because this is my big project, like I always work on a big project, and I like to have little smaller ones. That little driftwood village, it's going to be beautiful. I just need a lot more wood, which means I have to chop down some trees, which means I have to work out another project with some trees, which is something I'll do very shortly. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you learned something about something from this, even if it's just that in the Netherlands, there's a fast food chain with fast food vending machines. Literally takes 4 seconds to go from I would like some food to I am eating some food, which is, have you ever been to McDonald's and thought, wow, yeah, my order's taking 10 minutes. What is your definition of fast food, McDonald's? Because it clearly doesn't match mine. And if you have, then the only savior in this world is Fibo in the Netherlands, which, it might take you 10 hours to get there, but when you do, the time between, assuming you live in America, if you live in the UK, it's literally one of the shortest flights you can take. Actually, wait, I was gonna end it, right? But also, one little thing at the end here, because it made me think. Relative comfort, right? A lot of people feel uncomfortable all the time. Like, people say, like, oh, airplane seats are so bad. I sometimes notice it, but, like, not particularly often. And I recently was on one of the worst seats you can get as far as, like, on a plane. But I thought it was a pretty good seat. And the reason behind that was because I spent most of the day standing. And it was a reminder to me that, like, you know, it's kind of like, you know, comfort is something that is kind of binary, right? You're either comfortable or you're not. And sometimes you buy super comfortable things, but they just kind of ruin it for everything else. And yeah, in the same way, I'll just tie this into smoothies and say, you know, smoothies might seem like they're a good drink, but they just make every other drink seem less healthy, while also not being healthy themselves. Which is why, don't buy a smoothie, or you might end up with an existentialist crisis. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed it, because I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.